Never again. I said never. Should I see you with my daughter? Laura's parents warned Dennis sternly to stay clear from their daughter, as he had 6 years to tell her the truth, but he chose to keep it a secret. Gentlemen, on this day, you've brought my daughter disgrace and have brought shame to my family. I hope you stay away from her after this. Mr. Humphrey warned Dennis and left the wedding arena. Days after walking away from the ruined wedding, Laura couldn't get the best of herself, for she drowned in the misery of a failed relationship, a relationship she had built for years, sacrificing and putting in all her trust. She was very heartbroken that she could barely eat well, but she found solace in her best friend Sophia. Sophia stayed with her the whole time and took care of her. All she did was cry every day, as she had not just put in all her trust in Dennis, but she had other suitors who were better than him, which she rejected just for the sake of their love. Sophia, I still don't believe this whole incident. If I was told beforehand that Dennis would hurt me this way, I would have never believed. He was so innocent that he could barely hurt a fly. Dennis is wicked. For leaving me in this state, he won't find happiness. Laura said amidst tears. All men are wicked. And you deserve better, girl. Sophia interrupted her as she lamented. Dennis, on the other hand, after a ruined marriage, was forced to take up the consequences of his actions, as Nelly took him to court for negligence and tried to lure him to marry her, but he wasn't interested in Nelly and didn't fall for her evil antics. Something deep down didn't feel right for Dennis, and he took it upon himself to find out the problem. He knew he had been intimating with Nelly at different times, but something in his heart assured him that Nelly was just dragging him into the web of her madness. She was obsessed with him, and for a person who was so obsessed with him, Dennis knew that Nelly would go to any extent to have him for herself and would not stop until she succeeds. He tried to find out if he was the real father of the twins Nelly gave birth to, but it was difficult for him to access the children. As Nelly kept them away from him, because of this Dennis became suspicious of the whole thing. He was now bent on finding the true paternity of the children. And he made up his mind to wholeheartedly accept whatever result springs up from his search. He made up his mind to accept the children if they were his. Dennis devised means of uncovering the truth, but to no avail. The whole situation broke him down. He was devastated. The person he loved has now left him. He loved Laura so much that he tried to do everything so he could get her back. Nelly had gone ahead with the help of some of her friends to sue Dennis. Social welfare was brought into his case, and he was faced with either taking his children in or paying up at once all that will cost for their upbringing until adulthood. Dennis didn't have so much money to pay at once for his children's upbringing, and if he decided to bring them in, it'd ruin his chances of wooing Laura back. He didn't want to live with Nelly and was much more concerned about his children. He prepared his lawyers as well, who couldn't cover up for him, and advised him take up his responsibility for his children, and since something in his heart told him that Nelly was hiding something during the court process, Dennis requested for a DNA test. This request put Nelly under duress. She was uncomfortable with the situation that she tried every cunning way to suppress the idea, but Dennis was smart. The court later agreed with Dennis and requested for a DNA test. Nelly was asked to provide a test result, which she manipulated. Unknown to her, the court had carried out their own test to avoid forgery and fake results. Laura blocked Dennis from contacting her, as the whole situation had thrown her into a state of perplexity and depression. She had no choice but to move on. And with the advice and help of her dad, she moved to another city to refresh and to learn to heal. She loved Dennis so much and had fantasized a beautiful life with him. But he betrayed her and wasted a large amount of her years. She tried to hate him but couldn't, as the love she had for him was very deep. Dennis, amidst the court proceedings, still tried to look for Laura. He tried his best to contact her to no avail, and her best friend Sophia was unwilling to talk about her whereabouts. He even in shame tried to contact Laura's father, but Mr. Humphrey was also not willing to tell him the whereabouts of his daughter because of the damage he caused her. He sent words out to his friends in different cities to inform him when they see her. He didn't stop hoping to find her and to settle with her after everything. Some months later, on the last day of the court hearing, Nelly and Dennis appeared in court for the last judgment. They both hoped the court ruled the case in their favor. Suspense filled the courtroom as both parties, Nelly and her family, and Dennis and his lawyers and some witnesses, were itching to hear the last verdict and the outcome of the months spent in court. Court stand. The judge said as he began the process. Everyone stood up and immediately sat back. Some murmured while others just paid attention to see the outcome. Finally, I'd have him all to myself, Nelly said to herself as she laughed silently and hysterically while looking at Dennis with a bloodshot eye that easily gave off desperation. Dennis didn't understand why she looked at him that way, but hoped for something that would be in his favor. The court exposed that Dennis was not the father of the children, and a DNA test which came out negative was shown as evidence to prove that he wasn't related to the children. Nelly was very disappointed and looked around in disappointment. She screamed aloud without knowing and cried with so much contempt in her heart. No. I made sure I had everything under control. No. She screamed in disdain. Dennis, on the other hand, was rejoicing, because to him he would finally get married to his love Laura at last, as everything was proven to be a lie. The court ordered Nelly and her family to revoke the bride price which Dennis had initially paid in the past, which they did shamefully. Nelly was arrested for forgery and for giving fake testimony at the court. She was given 5 years jail term. As the police took her, she still threatened Dennis. The air was filled with her loud screams. If I can't have you, no one else would. I'd kill you and kill them all. Oh no, my children, what would become of them now? Please let me go. Nelly screamed with her voice fading out of the courtroom. Nelly's parents were left with option of taking care of the children. They bowed shamefully in tears and left the courtroom. Dennis was finally vindicated after everything. He was very happy to find out he was not the father of Nelly's children, because to him it gave him a better opportunity to be with Laura. But unknown to him, Laura had already found love and had made the big decision to settle with her newfound love. A month later, Dennis bumped into Laura in an event which they both exchanged pleasantries. He was very happy to see her, but she was not as happy as him because she had already moved on and had fallen in love with someone else. He narrated everything to her about how Nelly lied about the twins' paternity and how she ended in jail. He asked her forgiveness and begged her to come back to his life. He explained how he was ready to make amends and fix everything, but Laura was having any of it. You didn't deserve any of this. We were both victims caught in the web of Nelly's deceitfulness and greed. I'm very sorry about everything. We can come back together, you know, right? Dennis said, looking at Laura in her, hoping for a positive response. But Laura was not in the mood to talk to him. She just left him and entered her car. He followed her without her knowledge. He began to stalk her until one day what he found out broke his heart. Dennis had followed Laura to a beach without her knowledge and saw her meeting up with another man. He was heartbroken, but he stayed and watched them, and after that he drank to stupor, and this made his heart hate Nelly more. Laura was so in love with her newfound love, that she kept professing love to him. She couldn't get over him. They were both engrossed in each other. Rex, you showed me another meaning of love, and you taught me what true love meant. Laura said to Rex as they both laid on the beach sand watching the stars on the sky. I love you so much, Rex, she continued. I love you too, Laura. Thank you for coming into my life at the right time. Rex responded. They both heard the sound of footsteps. They looked up and saw Dennis. They stood up and to hear what he has to say, and in an eerie voice, with his breath with the strong smell of alcohol, Dennis said, I've been in search of you. Now that I've found you, I thought we'd get married, but it seems you've moved on so quick. But Laura broke his heart and told him of her marriage that was coming up with Rex. As you can see with your eyes, Dennis, Rex sitting right beside me is my fiancé and we'd be getting married soon. I'm in love with him and he's not like you, he redefined love with me she. But Laura you can't do this to me I've waited for you all these months, it's not my fault Nelly was obsessed with me and tried to steal my happiness Dennis said with his voice trembling. It doesn't change the fact that you lied and betrayed me, Dennis. Laura said. I'm really sorry I had forgotten everything about her that's why I never thought of letting you know, I didn't know she would stoop this low. Dennis continued totally ignoring Rex. Laura and Rex couldn't stand the drama that was about to unfold they both stood up and left. Dennis sat there, and regrets consumed him, he regretted lying to Laura and keeping secrets from her, but he also immediately knew he had to move on with his own life. Later on, Dennis met a very beautiful lady, Debbie who he fell in love with and they both found out later that she was friends with Laura and they all became friends. Rex became close friends with Dennis while Laura and Debbie's bond strengthened, they made plans together and wedded on the same day. Nelly was still in prison serving her time she was filled with regrets and decided to turn a new leaf once she comes out of jail. Thanks for watching do not forget to tell us where you are watching from and turn on your notification bell for more interesting stories alert.